All right, good morning, everybody. Due to circumstances beyond our control, we are trying something a little bit different. Even though it's an Investigation 3 today, stand by for something I call Investigation 3 Preparation. So, this whole crazy idea started because of the test yesterday. And two of the questions from Investigation 2 about a fourth of the class seem to be having trouble with. Here is the main concept we've been on for a while. If the numerator is 1, divide by the denominator, right? And I had some answers that tell me people still don't quite get what we're talking about here. So here's the sample question we ran in the test. In the class, 1/4 of the 20 students play football. And then they're going to give you a whole bunch of other information too, but this was really the gist of it that you needed to focus on if they wanted to know how many of the students play football. Again, the concept, if the numerator's 1, divide by the denominator. So how many students do you have? Well, you have 20 students, right? That's going to be your dividend. And they wanted to know how many students play football. Well, that was 1/4. And if you don't know 1/4, the 1 on top is considered to be the numerator, right? The 4 down on the bottom is your denominator. ND, North Dakota, denominator down on the bottom. So if you had to divide by the denominator, you have to go and divide by 4. One more time, where did I get that dividend of 20? That was how many students we had. 20 students, right? 20 divided by 4. 4 times what equals 20? That was 5 students. Okay, that part's the review that 1/4 of the class seemed to have a problem with. Let's move into something here. Check this out, what we're up against. Students were given 2 hours to finish a 100-question test. 1/2 of the questions on the test were true/false. Always stop and think at the period, right? Got the picture? 1/4 of the questions were fill in the blank. Visualize that in your mind. 1/10 of the questions were short answer. The rest of the questions were multiple choice. Stephanie answered 1/5 of the questions in the first hour. And they're going to start asking you stuff like this. How many questions did Stephanie answer in the first hour? I hate to break it to you, folks. You're going to have to reread. I'm probably one of the better readers I know, and every time I stumble across a question like this, I have to break it down and really think. So let's start talking about how we're going to break this down. So again, we're talking about how many questions did Stephanie answer in the first hour. So now I have it highlighted for you. Stephanie answered 1/5 of the questions in the first hour. 1/5 of the questions. How many questions did we have? Hey, it was a 100-question test. So 100 has to be our dividend. If the numerator's 1, all you have to do is divide by the denominator. Stephanie answered 1/5 of the questions in the first hour. What's the denominator in 1/5? Hey, that's 5. Now, you might have to set this up and work it out with the 5 steps, or maybe not. Can we do this mentally? 5 times what is 100? We've counted it in mental math. We should know that 5 times 20 is 100. Let's check out this one. Same question, only now they're asking how many questions were true false. I have it highlighted up here. 1/2 of the questions on the test were true false. Of the questions, the dividend did not change. We are still dividing into that 100 question test. And they said 1/2 of the questions. 1 is your numerator, 2 is your denominator, right? Good old ND, North Dakota that we live in. So all you have to do is divide by the denominator. So we are dividing by 2. Can we do this one mentally? I'm not even worried because I'll just say set it up as a 5-step division problem if you can't. But hopefully you can. 2 times what is 100? Hey, that's going to be 50. Just like half of $1 is 50 cents, right? Okay, not bad if you got the color coding working for you. But guess what? The questions in our book are all black and white. Don't think that it's going to be color coded jumping out at you like this. You're going to have to reread. Let's try this one. How many questions on the test were fill in the blank? Well, here it said 1/4 of the questions were fill in the blank. 1 is your numerator. 4 is your denominator. Good old ND, North Dakota, the denominator down on the bottom where a denominator belongs. Your denominator is 4 this time. Our divisor, your divisor is 4 this time. Your dividend still really hasn't changed. It's still the 100 question test. Can we do this one mentally? Well, even if you can't, I'll say set it up and do the steps of division. 4 times what is 100? I can do it in my head because I know there's 4 quarters in $1. $1 has 100 cents. So 4 times 25, hey, that's got to be 100. Let's try another one. How many questions were short answer? Here it says 1/10 of them were short answer. 1/10 is a fraction. Do I need to do the ND stick for a 4th time in a row? I'm hoping not. By now you better know, hey, that 10 is my denominator. I'm dividing by 10 because we divide by the denominator if the numerator's 1. And again, it's a 100 question test. Our dividend really has not changed one iota. 10 times what is gonna get you 100? Think of it about money. How many dimes are in $1? Hopefully you know that's gonna be 10. All right, let's try a few more and see what's going on here. Did the multiple choice questions make up more or less than 1/5 of the test? This is a 2-step problem. First of all, how many problems is 1/5 of the test? Before I even try to answer that question, I better figure out what 1/5 of the test is going to look like. I divide by my denominator, 1/5. If the numerator's 1, I divide by 5. Can we do this in our head? 5 times what is 100? That's 20. 1/5 of the test is 20. So, did the multiple choice questions make up more or less than 1/5 of the test? Well, here it only says the rest. They're not giving me a denominator. Oh, what are we gonna do? Let's take a look because I put our previous answers here. 50 were true and false, 25 were fill in the blank, and 10 were short answer. 50 plus 25 is 75, plus 10 more, these guys are 85 altogether, right? 50 plus 25 plus 10 gave us 85 questions. So the rest, how many questions did I start off with? I started off with 100 questions, and I've already talked about 85 of them. How many is the rest? Some that you start with, minus some that went away. 85 of them already went away because they were either true, false, fill in the blank, or short answer. And that's going to leave me 15. So now if we look at it this way, the rest of the questions were 15. 20 was 1/5. So did the multiple choice questions make up more or less than 1/5 of the test? 15 is less than 20, isn't it? The multiple choice questions definitely made up less than the test. So you don't actually have to write it out with the comparison symbol. You can just write out it is definitely less. Okay, let's check out this one. Together, did the fill in the blank and the short answer questions make up more or less than half the test? And they actually want you to say, how do you know? So let's see, fill in the blank and the short answer together. How many are we talking about there? Fill in the blank was 25. Short answer was 10. Looks to me like if you're going 10 plus 25, you're going to have 35 questions there, right? And they want to know, is 35 more or less than half the test? Well, what was half the test again? Half of 100 is 50. So is this more or less than 50? It is definitely less. Let's try another one, okay? Together, did the true, false, and the short answer questions make up more or less than half the test? How do you know? Well, we have 50 for the true and false. We have 10 more for the short answer. If you can't do it in your mind, 50 plus 10, hey, that's going to give me 60, won't it? And they want to know, is 60 more or less than half the test? We said a couple of different places that half of 100 is 50. Is 60 more or less than 50? It's more. Now, I'm not going to go and write out a sentence explaining exactly how you know, but you are going to have to somehow write it in your own words, and we're getting better at that. But some of us still need to write neater because here's the deal, folks. If I can't read what you're writing, it gets marked wrong. Okay? Let's keep moving on. All right, let's check out this one. We mentioned it before, but it probably bears repeating. When you add or subtract fractions with like denominators, and that's a math term that means the denominators are the same number, you only add or subtract the numerators, the numbers on top. The denominator stays the same. Pretty easy concept, but every so often I get a kid who thinks 1/5 plus 2/5 is 3/10. And it's not. You only add or subtract the numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3. The denominator stays the same. If I have a 5 down here and a 5 down here, the denominator in my answer is also going to be a 5. If you add 1/5 and you added it to 2/5, you have 3/5 there, right? All right, just a couple more. Let's check it out. This one is a little more interesting. Focus. So we know so far all we have to do is add the numerators. The denominators stay the same, right? So 3 plus 5, that's 8. The denominator stays the same. That's 8. So technically, I have an answer of 8/8. But here's the crazy part. If I took my 3/8 and I added it to 5/8, yeah, I have 8/8, but really, 8/8 is going to equal 1 whole, isn't it? You don't hear anybody ever say, I ate 8/8 of a pizza. They'll say, I ate 1 whole pizza, right? One last one to consider. Let's take a look. 5/8 minus 2/8. We know we only add or subtract the numerators. 5 minus 2, hey, that's going to be 3. The denominator stays the same. If I'm starting off with 5/8 and somebody came along and ate 2/8 of my pizza, all I'm going to have left is 3/8 of my pizza, right? And that is officially the end. When you are done, there is a Socrative quiz, and then I will tell you what the next move is, okay? Hopefully you understood everything that's going on. Good luck. You're definitely going to need a piece of paper and a pencil.